Sairam everyone, welcome to our weekly devotional satsang done by Sai Region 3, and thank you so much for your support. And we are going to have a very interesting topic today, and you will be here completely, and then definitely you are able to participate in every point of view which is our guest speakers are going to bring up today. So with that note, I just wanted to let you know we have very honored and dear and nearest to Swami's volunteers, Sevadals. You can call it any way you wanted. We have three doctors. Dr. Ganesh, he's professor of medicine at the University of Cincinnati. He received his medical training from Guntur Medical College in India, and he did SCNY Downstate Medical School and Cleveland Clinic Foundations also, and finally Harvard Medical Schools. And also Dr. Ganesh participated in several international medical missions of SSIO in several countries, and he was a Fulbright scholar on global health. At the request of US Embassy, he in Sri Lanka and Health Ministry of Republic of Maldives, he visited there also and did a study and submitted a report in 2014. And we have another guest, Dr. Raju from New York. He's an internal medicine specialist in Mount Vernon, New York. He has been actively involved in coordinating medical camps in Puttaparthi over the last 3 decades. Currently serving as international medical director and also medical director for SSIO Region 3. Welcome, sir. And finally, we have Dr. Hari from Michigan. He currently serves as Zone 1 medical director and as a member of International Medical Committee and the International Disaster Relief Committee also of our SSIO. Right now, we have an additional responsibility as a US National YA male advisor. And also, Dr. Conjeevaram has been coordinating multiple local and international medical and disaster relief missions in many countries. He also coordinated medical rotations for doctors across the globe to serve at Swami's institutions. So we all know now whom to contact, please do. And he also has worked closely with the YAs across the US in various local and international service projects. Recently, he has been working with the International Young Adults Leadership to coordinate the Young Adults Well-Being Support Program. The aims to support young adults in addressing the growing concerns, including emotional, psychological, and social well-being, along with the spiritual facets to these important aspects. And Dr. Hari won numerous awards for his teachings and also for his community service activities. So with this note, and I can go on, and their bio is, I saw that each one is very long. It takes another 15-20 minutes. I don't want to take much time, but I want to give their time. And we have our YA rep, Alekia, with her husband, Kusal. They're going to be helping us to moderate this session today at the first segment. So Kusal and Alekia, take it over, have a fruitful discussions and get as much as information from these wonderful doctors. Okay, don't leave them alone because getting them very hard. Okay, Swami has given us their time. Let's get a lot of information from them. With that note, hand over to you. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram Subbu Uncle, thank you. Thank you to all of our lovely doctors for giving up your time. If those bios didn't get us excited enough, we can't wait to hear more about you. So we would love to learn how you came to Swami and also how you first got involved in medical camps. So Dr. Ganesh, if you could please share first.
My first introduction to Swami and to the medical camps happened at the same time. That was in 1990. I came to know about Swami in about a decade earlier, but I went to Puttaparthi in 1990. I went there to be to volunteer in a medical camp. It was such a privilege. The senior doctors and the senior devotees from Guntur organized a medical camp in Puttaparthi, in Bukkapatnam, where Swami has studied, and I joined them. I joined a couple of days later because I had to complete my final exams, and my external examiners came late. So by the time I'm done with my the clinicals was like a 10 o'clock at the night time, and then I took the bus, I think, and went to Patti. I was very happy that I was able to make it. And the camp was, it was very unique experience. That was my first medical camp in Swami's organization. And my first visit to Puttaparthi as well. The doctors were very nice and very supportive. At the conclusion of the medical camp, because I was the youngest physician in the group, they made me to give Harati, and it was a very sweet experience. After concluding the medical camp, Swami gave us a special darshan. I still vividly remember how Swami came out of the mandir. We were all sitting in the line, how Swami came out and distributed the sweets, distributed the photo of him. He himself distributed it. I still save that photograph because that is, came from Swami directly. And the sweets that the Swami distributed was all ones coated with a sugar. So it's almost like 3 decades ago. Since then, Swami's grace, I've been able to part of the medical missions. And so a few years later, I moved to New Zealand. I was there for a year and 2 years. So it was also a very special experience. We bought a center. We used to, every weekend, we used to volunteer to renovate the we bought a church for our, as a permanent place for our Swami center. We used to renovate it. Then we decided to do the medical camp because I was the only physician in that group. And I really wanted to do the medical camp, organize a medical camp. And I said, okay, this is going to be your Swami's birthday gift. That was 1993. And I did not have a full license. So I was not able to be part of it, I was not able to, I couldn't see the patients because I did not have the full license in New Zealand at that time, at that particular time. So I asked my friend, I still remember he's very nice guy. He's Dr. Cherian. He's a cardiologist from Kerala, not a Swami devotee. He's a Christian. And I requested him, you know what? I'm going to pay you money. Can you please do volunteer in a medical, can you please do volunteer in a medical camp for 4 hours? I really wanted to do this, start a medical camps for local Maori, Samoans, and the people who migrated from the Fiji. So he agreed, and I did. I worked in the hospital that hours. I got an extra money to pay him the money to do the medical camp. That was very sweet experience. That was a gift for Swami's birthday. And subsequently, the medical camps were continued in New Zealand. So I was fortunate that Swami had given me these opportunities over the past 3 decades, starting with a medical camp in Puttaparthi, and then was able to organize a medical camp in overseas, and like in New Zealand. I cannot thank enough Swami for these wonderful opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. There was so much sweetness in what you were sharing. The physical sweets Swami gave, the sweetness of the other physicians that encouraged you, and then the sweetness of the love that you shared beyond just Parthi in doing the medical camps elsewhere. Thank you. Dr. Raju, if you could please share next how you came to Swami and how you got involved in medical camps.
With immense pleasure and joy that I offer myself at his lotus feet on this bright morning. And I wanted to share how I met Bhagwan, or rather how he embraced me into his fold. This dates back to 1997. That's when first I saw Swami in Kodaikanal. That happened in a very mysterious way. I happened to visit Madras to see Arjun Raja, one of my father's friend. So when I was in his office talking to him, a call came from Kodaikanal to him. I didn't even know that he was Sat Sai Baba organization president. And so Tennyson, one of the caretaker at his guest house in Kodaikanal, calls, says that Bhagwan is Swami is here, and he's asking, the Venkatagiri Raja's family has come, and so they're going to stay over there in your guest house. So that the conversation was that he's going to from Madras to Kodaikanal in the next couple of days. And then I asked him, so can I join you? So he invited me there. So I went there, and the night when I was at his guest house, there's an anesthetist who was his guest also. And Venkatagiri Raja's family were staying in the other guest house. So the night he has really infused in me whom I'm seeing and how is it like being in his divine presence. Because I had a desire at the back of my mind that I always wanted to see him in a unique way. So the next day morning, and it was very chilly, we were sitting there in that darshan, and we were made to sit right in front of his room, where next to me was the vice chancellor and the president of the organization, and I'm the third person. Then there was young sons of Bobilu Raja was also sitting next was there. I thought Swami is going to come first through the door, and I can have the first darshan. But to my surprise, so he went first outside through the other door where he saw everyone, and then he came last there. And that beautiful darshan of his, standing with his both the hands, both abhayastas, showing at me, and then standing right in front of you, I can never forget that darshan through which he embraced me. And I never realized that he, just in that moment of few minutes, as he's looking at you, he set his trajectory. And I'm grateful to Bhagwan that he took me as his one of his divine instrument. I miss so many people that are there. Thank you, Bhagwan, for that wonderful day and wonderful moment wherein I can cherish forever in my life. And subsequent to that, I happened to, as the medical doctor, I'm based in Hyderabad in South India, basically. And wherein I happened to participate in a couple of medical camps through Shivam. As you know, that Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Shivam happens to be in Hyderabad, as you all know. Through that, they used to go to villages, and I happened to participate in a couple of medical camps. And then I really enjoyed being part of that. And I have seen several facets of his miracles. And after coming back to this country, right? And so I didn't get a chance to go back to India for almost 4.5 years, wherein he really churned me and really made me understand made me understand his magnificent, how phenomenal is being in a Swami's fold. He has taught me. And then my first visit back was after 4.5 years. And my name is actually Bangaruraju, right? And I went through a lot those 4.5 years. And I got a visa to go back. My full name is Bangaruraju. And I started getting a mail. Last 2 letters disappear. Bangaru Ra. That means Bangaru come. So that I took it as his message. And I happened to go to Parthi for the first time, that too on a Shivaratri day. This dates back to how these international medical camps that were happening in Puttaparthi, where Radha Bhattina, so may her soul rest in peace, She's the first one, which Brother Hari also has. That's where I met Brother Hari for the first time also. So I happened to go there to do the serve in his mission in the general hospital. Then during that period of time, Swami was sending us. He is the one who's to set the time and when to go and when to come back to nearby Puttaparthi villages. And he used to see the Rahu Kalam also, when we should start and when should we come back. And after coming back, he used to ask Radha Bhatina also, did you go to that place? Did you talk to this one? Did you take care of this? And he really nurtured us as to how we should serve our fellow brothers and sisters. He taught through that villages wherein Alekia and Kushal and several of the members from Region 3, they happen to be part of this medical camp also. That's where we learned in Parthi. And that's how he put me in the groove. And subsequently, and we were going on every Shivaratri, Guru Purnima and birthday to serve in the medical camps over there. As he nurtured this, he made us to go to Guyana also, and a medical mission, wherein we went to all those islands. And we did go, he made us go to these disaster relief areas, namely Haiti. We can never forget that the number of aftershocks that place had it. And he happened to make me go there, and he had shown several experiences, saying that he is the charioteer, and all that he was asking for was, show me your availability. I'm not looking at your ability. So in that process, we happened to consolidate to forming an international medical camps, wherein around people from 11 to 12 countries, namely whether it is a volunteer, it's a physician, it's a young adult who are aspiring to be a physician, or someone who's really wanted to take this divine opportunity, serving from Puttaparthi, the holiest of the holiest land, wherein, as Dr. Reddy always mentions, the amount of punya, or the amount of grace that you're going to receive serving from the holy land of the avatar of the millennium itself, is so inspiring and such a great blessing. And where it is shown the trajectory for not only for me, for several young adults who took the path of trying to become physicians. And we are grateful to Bhagwan for just letting us to be his divine instrument. That's how I met Swami. That's how I came into the fold. And
you know, one thing that really strikes me about your experience is the power of Swami. With just one stroke, he changes the trajectory of your life. Whether it's the Abhaya Hasta blessing, embracing, or just that play on your last name, saying Ra, come. That's really nice. Thank you for sharing. Dr. Hari, if you could please share also how you came to Swami and how you first became involved in medical camps.
Sairam, everyone. My humble pronounce at the Divine Lotus Feet. I still remember when I was a teenager, I used to go back and forth from US and back to India. Initially, I was here as a young kid. And I remember in my house, there used to be this picture of Swami. Actually, I did not know Swami. I'm not sure what that picture was about, other than there was one occasion where it was bhajans. And later on, I found out that my father was a devotee, and he used to go to Parthi, but I actually didn't know much about that at that time. And then I got into med school, and then at that time, my parents were in the US. I used to visit them, and I realized the center was actually in my house. So I got involved at that time. What really struck me about Swami in his teachings, I really kind of caught on to the aspect of service, and also the University of All Religions. That really was, to me, the crux of what Swami was about. Universal nature across all religions. There was no difference. Really, I loved that aspect of Swami's teachings. And the service, of course, I used to love, watching my dad as a young kid serve everyone. And this was just, to me, as a continuum, actually. And when I was in med school once, I wanted to actually go see Swami physically. And so this was during the school year. I had to cut school. I don't recommend anyone to cut school. But I was yearning to go and see Swami to Puttaparthi. I was in Madras at that time. So I go to Puttaparthi. I still remember vividly walking into Prashanta Nilayam. I can see just people like walking out of Prashanta Nilayam. As I was entering, people were walking out. I was thinking, oh, that's kind of strange. So I go to the accommodations, and he says, oh, by the way, Swami just left this morning to Whitefield. So I was thinking I should go to Whitefield to see him. But the Sevadal convinced me to say, it's not the physical aspect of it, it's the spiritual aspect of it, so just stay here. It really made sense to me at that time. But as the day went on, I saw more and more people exiting Prashanta Nilayam. And that next morning, I said, I got to get out of Prashanta Nilayam because I was very keen on seeing the physical Swami. So I go to the bus stand. There was hundreds and hundreds of people at the bus stand. It was literally, everyone is trying to get into these buses going to Bangalore. And out of the blue, this conductor calls me and says, I have one seat. Do you want to get into the bus? As Brother Raju said, and a lot of these things, they just don't happen for the sake of, I think, Swami kind of putting us in this path. So I got into the bus, and then I went to Whitefield. And to me, just seeing him in Vrindavan for the first time, it just sent shivers in my body. It was one of the most incredible experiences in my life. And at that point, between that and coming back to US and really being involved with the church, with the service, and this concept of universality, there was really no going back to me from that. So Swami has been with me and has guided me. And this went along, and I was a trainee in my GI fellowship, and I still live in Region 5. And one of the regional retreats, Dr. Radha Batina, that Dr. Raju was mentioning about, she made an announcement saying that, oh, there's these medical camps in Puttaparthi, did you want to go? So immediately I went there for the first time. And what really struck me when I went for the first time, I had some incredible experiences in that trip. But these other doctors, when I actually entered the camp, at that time it was actually in the General Hospital. I still remember Brother Dr. Yatish and Dr. Mahesh, they just came and just hugged me as if they've known me forever. I mean, that immense love for Swami. And I think that is such a beautiful thing in our Sai families where, that love connects us first. And I think Swami has also taught us as physicians to extend that love to our patients as well. You connect heart to heart first, and then only look at the rest of, who we are, what we are doing, things like that. And that really taught me a lot during that time. And another incredible experience with this young man that I met on the road. And what happened afterwards, what really taught me was that at the end of the day, that connection is really between us and Swami. There's so many people in our lives who definitely inspire us and try to influence us. But it's really that heart-to-heart connection, and that connection is between us and Swami. As Brother Raju was talking about, in the medical camps, from then on, I've been going every year, till recently every twice a year, and much more. I really got involved in the international aspects of it globally during disaster relief and other countries like Russia, Kazakhstan. And in this context, I want to mention that for anything with medical camps, doctors or anyone in the healthcare professions can participate, but a lot of the medical camps are actually run by non-medical volunteers. So I think that's very important to keep in mind for everyone, including the young adults and adults, that you don't have to be a doctor to be participating in medical camps. Just that experience of experiencing that love in these medical camps is beyond measure. And Swami always takes care of us. Swami says, you put the effort and I'll take care of you. I still remember once in the medical camps when we went to the villages and came back. It was around 1:30, 2 o'clock. By this time, the canteen was closed, so there was no food. But we said, let's still go and try to get some food. So we went to the Indian canteen in Prasanta Nilayam, and we went to a section where the Sevadals eat their food. And they said, no, you can't eat here. And then the Sevadal comes to us, and he directs us to the other corner of the floor, and we were made to sit there. This was the place where they usually provide food for the VIPs. So we were not actually supposed to be there. And we were trying to pay the Sevadals some money for the lunch. And one thing one of the Sevadals, these young Sevadals, told me I can never forget. He told us that, I don't know why I'm serving you. I should not be serving you because you're actually not in that section. But something is telling me to serve you. I can never forget that. And I think to me, that's a direct message from Swami that, we put in our effort, he takes care of us. And I think our goal should be to think about how we want to serve. And Swami will take care of the rest. And throughout these experiences globally, what really makes it happen is that incredible unity amongst all of us. And the young adults are a significant part of it as well. They really helped us across the globe. And I think I would really encourage everyone to kind of think about the service locally, globally, whatever opportunities that you have. But clearly, it's an incredible experience. Thank you.
Sairam, that was wonderful. I love how you talked about the effort that other people across the world can put in and their availability that Dr. Raju talked about, which leads me to my next question is, Swami definitely had a vision for these medical camps. Could you, Dr. Raju, please talk about this vision and how we youths across the world can help this vision keep moving forward?
Alekia and Kushal, that was a wonderful question, which talks about basically what Swami's vision is, SSIO ideal healthcare, where he has set up those hospitals in India, the general hospital and the super specialty hospital and the super specialty hospital in Bangalore. They're epitome of that, reflecting his vision of trying to see how such as ideal healthcare, as Brother Hari was mentioning, that with the love that he wants to do every aspect of our service. In other words, love all, serve all. And it is the only healthcare system where there is the patient who walks in doesn't pay a penny. Of course, across the globe, of course, there are different healthcare systems that are there. But our presence is felt across the globe with the centers or the organizational level, what Swami has set up. This is one of the most incredible miracle, which if you look back or anytime you might have attended any of these town hall meetings, which tells as to how many countries and how many places and Swamis, under Swami's vision, they are all shaped up, they continue to thrive and they continue to emulate. So as far as my domain is concerned, or our domain is concerned, is focusing on the medical camps which are there, international medical camps which are conducted right now every year, a couple of times of year right now during the Guru Purnima and birthday. These two medical camps, Swami has inspired, Swami has taught us, and repeatedly he's been saying the same thing: love all, serve all. In whatever capacity you are in, you can do this by coming to this medical camps, wherein it is just showing that universality, which Brother Hari initially was mentioning. What he liked about is all the religions of one. There is only one religion of love. People from all walks of life, different country, different religion, different age group, different. Everybody was coming in, and the day started with the same way as it starts in Prashanti Nilayam, invoking his blessings. Of course, every place, every country has a different way of praying. And then prayer is very important. Before we started, he taught us. We continued that, and then he is the one who's orchestrating this whole drama. That's what we have seen, and he created several incidences in which he showed us he is the divine orchestrator, and in that process, he has inspired not only the physicians so that they can take back wherever they come from. They continue to do that SSIO ideal healthcare, those principles that are being continued wherever they are coming from. If it's a Seva Dal, the Seva attitude which is instilled, and it will be recharged, and they go there. Educational front, the youth who are coming there, who are trying to aspire to be a physician, or any form that, whether it is a pharmacist or a computer literate person, or any of their background, Swami enriched, Swami instilled that vision of the ideal healthcare in them, so they became part of it. That's how we have now our international website has taken totally different facet in which all these things are being very well depicted. So that's the vision which I have learned it, and I could practice, which we're going to talk as we move along in this direction.
That's very wonderful. I love how it's inspirational for you, and now it's becoming inspirational for me. Dr. Hari, would you be able to talk about what was Swami's vision for these medical camps and how we across the world can make these visions come true?
I think from Swami's perspective, he wants all his children to be served. And of course, for us, we need to recognize the need for that, and to have that opportunity as well. And these camps can be anywhere. Of course, we've been involved in Puttaparthi quite a bit, but also across the globe, whether it's during disaster relief times or where there are actual need for this care. For example, I was mentioning earlier Russia and also Kazakhstan, where there are medical camps every year, because there's a constant need. One of the things I've realized over time is that Swami always talks about you can connect to everyone heart to heart. You don't necessarily need to learn the language or know the language. Of course, he makes it available. For example, when we go to other countries where we don't speak the language, he provides us interpreters, for example. But at the end of the day, it's that heart-to-heart connection which really kind of puts that emphasis. Swami says when we give medicines, it's only a fraction of the cure. The real cure is that heart-to-heart love and connection. That's really what cures people. And I still remember in Kazakhstan, when we had one of the medical camps, this older lady came to us. She literally brought this huge file, and she wanted me to kind of go through the entire file. And I went through it, and through the interpreter, I realized, though she had come in for one particular problem, she really wanted to talk to me about her life, her depression, and me and the interpreter spent a lot of time. And of course, we gave her medications for what she came in for. And then she got up and she looks at both of us, and she says, I can feel the love in your heart and peace in your eyes. I can never forget that moment. Both of us were in tears as she was telling us that, because to me, it was a true reflection of what Swami tells us, is that, that's how we should project that love. There was no, of course, there was a language barrier. Of course, I gave her medications for what she came for, that connection. And I think, to me, when Swami has his medical camps, he wants us to connect in that way. Because if you think about it, in Prashanti Nilayam, these camps, we get anywhere between 600 to almost 2,000 people daily. So it's very tempting to just get things going, do things very fast. But what he has taught us over time is that every patient that we see, we have to see God in them, but treat them correctly, connect them heart to heart. And that has to be in every setting, actually. So he brings these patients in, of course, for their medical care, but he wants the vision for these medical camps to go beyond. And I think that's where not only just doctors, but volunteers, people who register these patients, that heart-to-heart connection, people who take them from one room to another, people who check them out, or pharmacy, every aspect, he's giving us that opportunity, but he wants that love to be transmitted across, to these patients. As Dr. Raju was mentioning, initially, actually, these camps in Prashanti Nilayam in Puttaparthi were in the general hospital. First, they actually started in a tent. Then it went to general hospital. And then they used to be 4 times a year, Shivaratri, Guru Purnima, birthday, and also Christmas time. Then they became more in a big way twice a year. One of the key aspects that Swami always emphasized is the quality of these camps. It's not the numbers, it's not anything else. Of course, he used to ask Dr. Radha how many numbers, and he knew exactly what the numbers were. I still remember once he asked Dr. Radha what the number was, and she gave him a number. He actually corrected her by just a factor of 2. We went back and actually counted, it was exactly what he said. So, so he wants that quality to be there, but the main thing is, he really wants to serve his children, and we are just blessed to be part of that. And I think anytime we hear about any opportunity to serve, we need to grasp it. That's how I think of, what Swami is doing right now.
That was beautiful. That story sent shivers down my arms. And finally, Dr. Ganesh, would you be able to share what Swami's vision was for these medical camps and how we across the world can make sure to keep this vision moving forward?
When you look at the global picture of the Swami's mission or Swami's vision to the society or to the universities, for us to realize that we are an embodiment of love, how that love could be expressed, or how that love, how can we realize that we are that, and how can we express it? And Swami gave us several pathways, like love walls or wall is one pathway to realize that one. And how can we serve with the love? That's the bottom line. And how can you do that in a different aspects of life? I mean, let it be in the prayers. When you do your prayers, you do with a love, so that whoever is there in that group will get benefited of the bhajans. Or you can apply that one in every aspect, in everywhere and in every aspect of your life. Coming to the medical mission of Swami, the same thing applies here as well. It is expressing your selfless love to the people around you, not necessarily just in the medical camps. Wherever you are, say when you're in the airport, somebody is in distress, talking to them in a compassionate way, that itself is the medical mission, because you're helping the patient who are in the distress, who are in distress. Swami says the two things are very, very important: the spiritual health and the physical health. The spiritual health and how can we combine both? That is the unique aspect of Swami's mission. When you walk into the Swami's hospital, you see something which is very unique. That is, you see Swami's picture everywhere. Someone asked that one, why the pictures has to be there? Then the answer was, it is not just the doctors treating the patient based on the knowledge that they acquired during the medical school. It is more than that. It is the spiritual side. It is the holistic approach. So that is the sort of that is what Swami keep on emphasizing in every aspect of our life, in whatever we do, doing with the compassion. Say, you go to the restaurant, you've been fed, and you pay the money, the person will come and feed you. But when you go home, when you're fed by your mom or your wife or somebody at home, it is done with a love. That is the difference. That is the difference. That is the unique thing, what we try to practice in Swami's mission. Doing whatever you could do your best and do it with a love. That's the core principle of Swami's mission, and that applies to the medical mission. This is the way for us to realize our true nature of, that is, we are love. And Swami gave us this opportunity to express ourselves in a different ways wherever we are. Like Brother Harir and Raju mentioned, you don't have to be a physician to do the spiritual health or the physical health. Non-medical people can do it. Say, someone asked you about, I'm just giving an example, a diabetes or the hypertension. You happen to learn a little bit more than a normal person, because some other non-medical people learn more, read quite a bit about it, they understand it, and they are very educated. So sharing that knowledge to the patient who did not have any clue about the diabetes and what he should do, that is also that will become a part of the medical mission. So looking for every opportunity in every aspect of your life to see how you can express your selfless love to the people around you is the one thing that is something I cherish, something I learned from, I observed from what Swami's life, from Swami's life and the people around in Swami. Thank you.
Sairam, thank you. You spoke about compassion, which ties in beautifully to our next question. People often face barriers to receiving healthcare that we may not be aware of. Dr. Hari, could you please share your thoughts on how being aware of this can help us be more compassionate?
Sairam, that's such an important question for all of us, whether we are physicians or in the medical field or even otherwise. Again, when I was talking about grasping those opportunities and be ever watchful and really try to understand each other, especially all our patients, understand where they're coming from. To me, a big component of it is listening to them, really understanding what their issues are, where they're coming from, spending some time to understand what their background is, what their limitations are, and starting there to try to help them. And I think a lot of times as physicians, we try to give the best, do the best. And we are so excited about doing that. We don't think much about, are the patients able to do it? Are the patients able to accommodate some of these? Of course, our goal is to help them, but it's very important to be very, very respectful about, what they can do or what their understanding of the situation is. So listening is very important. I think that helps us to become very empathetic. And at the end of the day, we can actually help others much better that way when we listen and show that empathy. I think patients actually tell us more information. And as part of that, when I see patients, I'm always thinking about them as another human being first, not necessarily as a patient. I like to connect with them first. And of course, I'm going to take care of their medical issues as well. So that connection kind of breaks that bond. They're much more amenable to telling us, where they're from, what their limitations are. Sometimes, people feel shy about telling us what they can or cannot do. So this kind of setting this momentum actually kind of helps. And the other important thing is that at every aspect, and this is something I continue to do in the current era of where there is so much pressure with time for doctors and healthcare professionals, limited time, need to take care of a lot of things. So one is understanding the barriers that they have. The other thing is also paying full attention to them. So I've been personally trying to, be much more mindful every time I step into a room. So what do I mean by that? We're always thinking of so many things as we're thinking of caring for that patient. From the moment we are looking at their chart, entering and kind of taking care of the patient. I've been trying to be much more in terms of practicing mindfulness. The minute I open that door, 100% of my attention is for the patient, not what's happening outside at work, and other things, how many other things that I need to do for that day, or what else do I need to do for that day. So practicing that mindfulness, I think is very, very important, paying that full attention. Just as Swami says, see him in everyone, see God in every patient, but pay that full 100% attention. I think if we do that, we've come a long way with helping with all the barriers, whether it's based on their finances or whatever the situation is. And as you know, in this country, there's a lot of barriers for us to kind of step back. If someone doesn't do something that we tell them to do, of course, we are wanted because we want them to get better. Trying to understand why did they not do it? What was the barrier? I always think that, we tell people a lot, but we don't think about, if I were in that position, can I actually do it? So absolutely no judgment, and really understand. I always step back and say, would I have been able to do what exactly I told this patient? If the answer is no, we need to make that extra effort. Thank you.
Sairam, thank you. Those are some wonderful points, especially about being mindful, that we could all definitely practice. Dr. Ganesh, could you please also share your thoughts on how we can be more aware of barriers that people may face and show them compassion?
The compassion is, sorry, just let me, yeah. The compassion is, first is like, the understanding the Swami's principles will make us be, that's the first step. Then that will help us really to be more compassionate. But in addition to that, is we have to put ourselves in the patient's shoes. I think that to be compassionate, sometimes, either You look for the avenues, how to understand the patient. We may not be able to understand everything, what they go through. We may not be able to feel their pain in every aspects, in a different, at least the diseases that what we practice, like, and I'm a nephrologist. I wanted to see what they go through because of this. Those are the things that really make me compassionate. Now, for the past 7-8 years, I've never been paternalistic. I never tell them, don't do this, don't do this. The words that we use, the expressions what we have, everything that changes, then the patient could be more receptive. They know that what we go. Recently, when we go to Puttaparthi, we do the medical camp. One of my passion is to education, because until we educate the patient, you cannot change you cannot change the prognosis. That's it. They have to be active participant of their care. I'll give an example. My passion is diabetes and hypertension and obesity, and those things are the most common reasons why the people are dying all over the world. They contributes to these are some of the main risk factors, contribute to about 70% of the mortality and all over the world. So I really put a special focus on that one, and we do the education, this and that. I was talking to a patient, and I told him, don't eat this, don't eat, know that you have diabetes. Then he looked into my eyes and said, what should I eat? Those are the things, those are the memories I tend to store in my hard drive, and made me bring back home, and what is that I could do to help them. In the past 4 months, then I started updating it. I didn't get a chance, but because of the COVID, I was able to focus quite a bit time. I was able to have about 40 youth help me to update the health education materials that is needed to educate the patient. So how to be compassionate is, spirituality helps you, but try to look your friends. We should interact with the friends who has medical problems, the relatives who has medical problems. Try to get involved in them. Then because you are bonded to them, then you feel the pain more, what they go through, and that makes us to be more compassionate. And I think that really helped me quite a bit. Being involved in the relatives, being involved in the close family friends, being involved in these things helped me to understand what patients go through and to be more compassionate. When we are compassionate, even when you look into their eyes, even when we touch their hand, even when we say the words, the tone, the tenor, everything is different. Thank you.
Sairam, it's so true. How we approach people changes everything. Dr. Raju, if you could please also share your thoughts on how we can be mindful of barriers to care and approach with compassion.
See, what we learned with Swami's, being in Swami's fold, what we learned in Puttaparthi, and how that can translate globally. And currently we are residing in the US. How does that, what are those barriers? How do we overcome those barriers? And there are, in the gamut of the patient, the doctor, and the other healthcare personnel, namely our sevadals, you can call it as, or the other people who are involved, the nurse. What are some of the barriers that you face over there in an underserved country, underserved area, versus like over here in this country? So what we need to see is, as Brother Hari has also mentioned, Swami always he creates a scenario, or he gives you a problem, but at the same time, he's right there to solve that problem. That's the uniqueness of being in Swami's fold. As a charioteer, he's there. But only thing is, as long as you follow those principles, as Brother Hari was mentioning, or anyone that is mentioning, it's all about a compassionate care, that love. With that, you can overcome those barriers. For example, globally, you're going to places wherein language is a barrier. He's providing you the translators. And as sometimes there are barriers to conduct this medical camps or to reach to those people. So there also, only thing is you have to have that pure intention that you want to do it. Wherein when Ganesh was caught offhand in New Zealand, but he had the burning desire. That burning desire, as long as we have it, we can achieve it. And we can do it, which you're always seeing time and again. That's the uniqueness of being with Bhagwan. So let's talk about this pandemic, where there were everybody's hands were totally tied. They call it as Ashtadigbandhanam. In other words, every aspect of it, you can't even move. And this is one of the most ever faced barrier for the patient, for the physician, for the people who really wanted to serve. They cannot be, that barrier also he created, and he will let you all that, you show me your availability. I'm not looking at your ability. I'll give an example. During this pandemic time, as being from the epicenter of the New York, I have seen hundreds of these COVID patients. And when I was trying to serve them either in the hospital or in my office-based setting or in a nursing home, where you have seen people were just dying left and right. So where the simple thing was to have these barriers, the face masks or face shields, or these are the simple measures. Initially, everybody was caught off guard. I cannot imagine better barriers that are being put everywhere, but he expects you to serve in these situations. All that, I brought this barrier issue to one of the centers where I am there. I said, I had a burning desire that we need to make some face shields for this thing. So, but at the same time, everybody's at home. Nobody can go out. And I told them, please just be mindful of this social distancing and everything. Within no time, they came up with the idea of how it can be done. Everybody was doing at home, and where we could reach out to all the healthcare providers, the CNAs, the nurses, and to the other people, where initially this was a big essential commodity. And this was a basic thing that was necessary when amidst, we can say, amidst plenty, we had this poverty. So wherein Bhagwan, he overcomes those barriers, whether it is a language barrier, whether it is a money to set up a camp, or is it a pandemic. The resource is not an issue, because the source is Bhagwan, as we already know and already we have seen. Coming to the aspect of when you serve the patient, what are their potential barriers, as Brother Hari has mentioned, you totally give yourself in its true sense. Like Bhagwan, when he calls you in the interview room, but of course I never had one, but when he's talking to the devotee, he and only him, only the two are present in that whole period of time, wherein the devotee feels that Bhagwan is only meant for him, but Bhagwan shows that this is the only devotee that I have with me. So that kind of commitment, he has shown it, and that itself is a model which we need to emulate when we are treating these patients, or when we are trying to do any act for that matter. So just be the conduit, let his divine energy flow through, and time and again, it just rings the bell, whether you're doing it at camp in Puttaparthi, or you're doing it at National Disaster Relief, or locally in one of the regions, you're trying to conduct a camp. Just be patient, give yourself, all the barriers will be wiped out. And some might take few days, some might take months, some might take more than that. But you be persistent, insisting on it, and it will happen.
Sairam, that was wonderful. Swami is always the source, and with his will, anything is possible. Which leads us to our final question for the evening, which is, Dr. Hari, if you would like to start us off, what is your most dearest experience that you have had with Swami and these medical camps?
Sairam, yeah, Swami has given us a lot of incredible experiences, both in person, as a group, on an individual basis. And as I was mentioning earlier, what I've really learned is we get caught up in all these, but that constant recognition that it's really between us and Swami. I mean, he's kind of, through the years, kind of showed us to see God in all. A couple of wonderful experiences. We always want to cherish that personal experiences or experience something we know that he's doing, though he's doing everything. I still remember the first time, Swami always talks about unity. And when we used to go to these camps, what Swami used to do is he always used to go and talk to the women doctors and volunteers. He never used to come to the males. and I remember the women, obviously, they were feeling sorry for us, or they wanted their brothers to be part of that experience. And once they asked Swami, Swami, what about the men? And Swami said, I'll take care of them, and why do you worry about it? And one day, it was this conundrum for us. We were sitting in the morning in the bhajan hall, but we were still working. That means around 8 o'clock we have to go to our work. And Swami actually had called the women. So the natural thing is for us to think that he's going to call the men as well. And so there you start seeing this this unity kind of unfolding a bit. Half of us, half of the group wanted to stay, thinking that Swami was going to call, and half of us, and I was in the latter group, saying, we need to go to work. Of course, it's wonderful to see Swami, but work is worship. We need to go to work. And I remember that we actually split. So some of us went, some of us stayed back. And of course, Swami didn't call us. And then we realized, that's really not how we should be. And I think he's showing this importance of unity and what we have set out our goals for. And that we need to follow that and not get distracted with all these things. And then we kind of regrouped, and we realized work is more important. And then of course Swami calls us as a group later on that afternoon, all of us actually interview, and he spent like 1.5 hours. I still remember, after 1 hour he kind of got up, and we were thinking, interview is done, what a blissful 1 hour of interview. It was a bit hot in the room, and Swami got up, he goes straight to the switch, the fan, and he puts the switch on so that the fan starts. He just wanted us to feel comfortable, that incredible compassion. And then he kind of sits back, and then another half an hour of dialogue with us. And he was going by asking everyone questions, what do you want, what do you want? And of course, he was giving it everything that people wanted. I still remember one of the doctors said, I want a ring, and Swami gave him a ring. And I knew that he was going to ask all of us. So I already had my question in mind. And then, this Maya, sets in, and I'm seeing other people, asking for a ring, and they're getting a ring. And I'm thinking, maybe I should ask for a ring. I knew I would get it. But I said, look, I'm going to stick to my question. I'm not going to ask for a ring. And he asked me, what do you want? And I said, I want to serve you, Swami, for the rest of your life. And he said, why? And I said, and it makes me very happy. And he said something very powerful. He said, happiness is external. What you're really feeling when you're thinking of serving me is joy. Joy is, internal. And so that was very powerful. And over the years, Brother Raju was mentioning, we start with prayers in these medical camps. And almost every day, the first day of the camp, it's happened every time. One flower or more than one flower or the garland just falls at the beginning of the camp. It happens every time. And the birthday before Swami's physical passing, we were all there. And that I still remember that morning, no flower fell, no garland fell. And I was thinking, okay. And then immediately after the prayers were done, we got, a basket of vibhuti, which was sent by Swami. This is for all the people in the camp. He was kind of going beyond. Of course, he was showing us these miracles, these happenings, but here he's kind of acknowledging, hey, look, you're doing good work. This is for you. And that was the same camp that last day we get a word that Swami wanted all of us to come and meet with him in the prayer hall that afternoon. And it was so special. I think none of us really recognized the impact of that get together with Swami, where he spent so much time, but he went to each and every one of the people in the camp, gave them vibhuti personally, talked to some people, and then he kind of went around, gets out of the prayer hall, and we thought that was done, and he comes back again to each and every person again. It was just incredible. These experiences kind of tell us that, he's watching all of us, he's watching what we do, and I think we always have to be ever, watchful of what we do, how we kind of conduct ourselves. So to me, all these experiences, and I also shared that experience with that older lady in Kazakhstan, really kind of reflect to me, that power of his message. We can be his reflections of his messages, not only keeping that quality, but that yearning to serve him in everyone. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Thank you, Dr. Hari. That was wonderful. Swami's love is truly, truly immeasurable. Dr. Raju, if you could please speak and let us know, what is your dearest memory or experience with Swami in these medical camps?
It's just what I have noticed, right? There are three things we have to keep it in mind when we are in the medical camp, is that so he knows everything, anything that's happening, even to the minutest thing that's happening. And he knows how to mitigate it also. So don't be afraid that you're in such a scenario. I just wanted to give first one of the scenarios that happened in Haiti. So I happened to go a couple of times there when after that, the aftershocks that were going on that night. So there are two things, incidences which I wanted to recap on that, and then one from Perthi. So that night when we were a bunch of around 20 people, there was Narayan Seva going on an ongoing basis, and we were stationed in one of the devotees' house, and there is a huge destruction. And every day, like Brother Hari was mentioning, the same prayer is always very important. And like Ganesh has mentioned, spiritual facet always has to be there, but irrespective of whatever prayer that you're doing. And that night, around 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, one of my friend wakes me up. Hey, Dr. Raju, get up. See, the whole house is shaking, and the neighbors' houses are shaking, and we're shaking. And then immediately in the middle of the night, the owner of the house, he told, you need to get out and bring your passport, leave everything there. So within few minutes, we were on the street in front of the house. So this night around, I think, became 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. So the question is, what do we do? because that's the first time you are experiencing how it's like being in an earthquake zone. These kind of aftershocks, every day those patients were having it. We were serving in that one of the big churches and small churches, as Brother Hari also remembers. And that night when we came out, you see, Swami also sees how steadfast you are, how sticking you are into your work that is given to you. That night we self-reflected. I said, Swami, everybody wants to leave. So then I said, let us reflect on what happened in our personal lives and why he sent here. And no mother or father will send his son to a place where it is dangerous. And we came to a conclusion after discussing, all of us, that Swami is right there with us. So we don't have to be afraid of anything. And then that again, that's courage he gave back to us. And we went back to our room at 4 o'clock. And after that, there was no aftershocks after that prayer. I can never forget that, but just by being there and how much of a post-traumatic stress disorder those patients were having, he taught us that night. You experienced only for a while. Within 10 days, you're going to get out of that epicenter. What about the patients here? So he taught a lesson, and he made sure that he took out that barrier. And next day onwards, we were serving. Of course, we had a couple of aftershocks when we were serving the patients in that big church, which I'm going to share some of the photographs, which all of you can see those ones also. And at the same time, he showed one more. He is there everywhere, all that you need to call him. One afternoon, I was just seeing a patients there in that big church in Haiti. And there was a huge crowd, and there was hardly any food for them. There's no water to take a bath. They have every disease possible. And we were just also given only one bucket of water. What you want to do, whether you want to drink, whether you want to take a bath, that's your call. So you admit that, and you're serving the patients there. Suddenly, there is a patient they bring. He's almost collapsing. And Swami puts you, what you're going to do. And I know that something is going to happen to that patient. And if you read in Swami's 108 names, Asahaya Sahayaya Namaha, Arti Haraya Namaha. In other words, if you are totally caught off guard, like this pandemic, he kind of situation, that was a scenario there. And I just prayed just for a few seconds in my deep of my heart. I don't want this patient to die here, Swami. So within few seconds, I see a Afro-American guy who is wearing on his headphones, and then with his rock music, he appears there in his car. He said that, see, can you take this patient to that place? Because they set up another medical camp near their hospital area, wherein I happened to meet people from Mount Sinai Hospital. There's a young budding doctor, and there's another critical care physician who was there. And within few seconds before we realized, everybody helped, and we put in the patient in that car. As we were going, that guy was playing music to the loud. I didn't even pay attention to it. And then we went there, we took him there, and then I hand over it to them. Right away, they started the blood transfusions, and the patient came back to a normalcy. When I coming back, I asked, who's that person who helped? I want to thank. Nobody knows who's that person, and there's no trace of him the next few days. All that, if you are mindful of it and you call for the help, he's right there. Even the most critical situation, he comes. He's just waiting for that call. I've felt that, and I continue to feel the same situations also in Puttaparthi. And here also in the Region 1, where when we are conducting these medical camps, Puttaparthi, and every time you have to be really vigilant. Something can happen at any moment, any time. So I just stepped out, and I was just coming in. Suddenly I hear a bustling this thing. There is an old man of around 90 years. He happens to be the ex-dean or ex-principal, and highly respectful. A bunch of students, they brought him. And so that was a birthday time. There was a lot of crowd around. And then they took him inside, and then I knew that something is really catastrophic is happening by looking at his vitals, looking at his facial appearance. I said, he doesn't belong here. And in the meanwhile, they hooked up to the EKG machine, and he was showing a fatal heart arrhythmia rhythm that was happening. So only because that was, I mean, we did the basic thing what we need to do. One more thing what we learned down the lane is, of course, I'm not saying that it may not be the same in the other things, but universal principle is vibhuti. I mean, when you don't know anything, Swami also mentioned to Dr. Upadhyaya, so in the past in his medical camps, see, first thing is by applying vibhuti, which is holy ash. So wherein he says that I take charge by the time you do that. But I have seen several times, Brother Hari also has seen several times, Ganesh also has seen, and you as volunteers, whoever came to that camp, is made us to learn, not that he is there, all that we need to utilize him. So immediately, and he puts another barrier there, and so there was no ambulance that is available. And and then we had set up our own car, and we put him in this thing, and I myself went there. We dashed into all the way up to the super specialty hospital. I was intensely praying. For one reason is, he happens to be a professor. There's so many students that are there. They're near and dear to him. And Swami, please take care of this. And then rightfully so, he was totally with me. And that was one of the most, and as you getting out, there was so much of a crowd, hardly your car is moving. And so then immediately we took another turn, and then we landed up in the intensive care unit. By the time we went there, we hooked up to the monitor. He was having one of those irregular heartbeats. It could have costed his life. But right away, they took care of it. They stabilized him. And within 2 days, that gentleman, the professor comes. Even I see him on and off in this medical camp time. He comes. I think he comes and lives here in Florida also after his retirement once in a while, and then he comes to Prashanti. It's an incredible experience. What it talks about is, we have our mentor is not ordinary. We have to tell that every day, every minute, every patient you're seeing, every act that you're doing, that much of an intensity is instilled in us. And we are so lucky and fortunate, brothers. So these memories, whatever he has kept with us, is in sufficient energy to move out all these barriers and move forward and embrace our fellow brothers and sisters. And we love all and serve all from the bottom of our hearts.
Sairam, I love how Swami is always putting us places where we need to be, and when we call him, he will always, always come. And your memories really resonated that. Finally, Dr. Ganesh, would you be able to tell us your dearest memory or experience with Swami in these medical camps?
My first medical camp was in 1990, almost like 3 decades ago. And Swami gave a beautiful darshan, interaction, sparshan darshan, and sambhashan as well, and distributed the suite and then photograph and everything. Just before Swami left his physical body in 2010, 2010 November was a birthday medical camp. That was the last medical camp, before Swami left his physical body in 2011. It was very sweet how Swami gave us interview and interacted with us, and it was something very, very special. It is not like it is very pre-planned in the sense Swami knew what's going to come, and Swami, our feeling was that Swami did not want to disappoint us. Swami wanted us to remember forever that he knew what was going to come, and he did not want us to leave that empty feeling. So that was truly a memorable experience for me. In addition to that, the same year, my passion is how to empower physicians practicing in different countries, limited resources, and the patients. So I worked really hard putting together a textbook with the limited support that I have there. And then, so I don't know what prompted me, but I was working it's like a marathon. So I completed the textbook just in time. I was a little bit, I came late to the medical camp also, 2010 birthday medical camp, because I was with a printer in Hyderabad. I want to get the hard copy, so to present it as a gift for Swami's birthday. I don't know what prompted me to do that one, like a marathon actually. So I got that hard copy. I gave it to Dr. Reddy. I didn't want to give it. Usually I go through Dr. Reddy because he was in charge of the medical wing. So I gave it to Dr. Reddy. Dr. Reddy, can you please present it to Swami? And Dr. Reddy took the copy, and Swami asked him to come to Ejur Mandir. So he went to Ejur Mandir. While he is almost close to the Swami's Mandir, he realized that he forgot the book at home. He called the maid that is at home and tell them, there is a red book which is sitting next to my bed, and then can you please, there's so many books are there, it seems. The maid picked up the textbook that that was there, and brought it to the Ejur Mandir. And just like how that happened was Dr. Reddy was describing how that happened. How the person maid who didn't have any education, who cannot even read the textbook title, just by looking at pick the right book, and gave it to Dr. Reddy. And Dr. Reddy took it inside and kept it in front of Swami. Swami keep on looking at it, it seems. And then Dr. Reddy thought maybe Swami didn't want to, try. Then Dr. Reddy knows what, so Dr. Reddy was trying to take the book away. Swami said no. And then Swami slowly flipped the pages and asked him, did you read this chapter? Did you read this chapter? Did you read this chapter? It was very sweet. It was, Swami leaving the physical body. It is so planned. If you look at your life, or if you look at anyone, any devotee's life, they can easily connect the dots. How Swami planned it in such a way. Swami did not want us to be in the disappointment stage. If I hadn't had that opportunity to get it blessed by Swami in a physical form, because I've been working on this for some time, I would have been, that would have devastated me. And how Swami made me to complete the book, which is like 108 chapters, like more than 80 authors. I didn't have any secretarial support. I had to do everything, like a lot of work putting together a textbook. So how Swami made me to complete the book and got it blessed on the 2010 birthday. It was something I will never forget. How it went through Dr. Reddy also. That's one experience I will never forget. And the interview in the 2010, I will never forget, because I got the first interaction with Swami when I went first time to do the medical camp in 1990. Again, Swami gave almost that, later. The one more very, very special, very close to my heart is, I plan to go to Puttaparthi on the end of April 2011. I don't know. One day there was an earthquake in Japan, and then tsunami in Japan. And I saw a post at like 11:45 at night time saying that one devotee posted, Swami, thank you so much for protecting us. None of the Swami devotees, everybody is safe. So I felt really touched. That was about 20th of March. And then I said, wow, I should really go and thank Swami for helping so many devotees. I booked my flight just same night. I booked my flight to be there for just 3 days. End of thing. That was the Ugadi time. My plan was to stay Saturday, Sunday, and Monday take the flight, come back on Tuesday morning and get to the work. That's exactly the time the Swami got into the hospital. How Swami, pull you to the things right at the moment where something happens is amazing. Then I went to the Puttaparthi. I came back. Again, I couldn't stay here. Again, I took the flight. I went to the one weekend, the weekend later. Again, I went back, I take the flight on the Thursday evening, go reach there on the Saturday morning, stay there on Saturday, Sunday, and take the flight back on Sunday night, come back here on Monday morning, get to the work. I take only 1 day vacation, so I don't waste my vacation in there. One of the sweetest memory that I had is the last time how Swami planned. It is not like it's not like an unplanned thing. It is so planned. So on the 24th weekend, I was supposed to leave on Thursday night, take the flight. I didn't book my flight. For Thursday afternoon, I was supposed to book my flight for Thursday evening, 5 o'clock flight from Cincinnati, reach the Puttaparthi Saturday morning, stay there on Saturday and Sunday, take the flight back on Sunday night and come back. I was so psychologically so exhausted that day. I said, okay, I'll leave it on Friday night. So I left it on Friday and reached there on, instead of staying there on Saturday, Sunday, then I had to change it. Plan was to stay on Sunday and Monday and take the flight back on Monday night and then come back and Tuesday morning, get back to the work. How Swami changed my routine. My routine typically is go there on Saturday morning, stay there on Saturday, Sunday, and come back. But that particular weekend, I landed there on Sunday morning. That is the day Swami left his physical body. I will never forget that. If I had stuck to my original date, I would have to leave the party on Sunday evening. I would have missed everything. And I reached there on Sunday morning and I knew that this happened. So went for darshan, came home. And after darshan, I went back to my room. I was just lying. I was not crying. I was just something numb, lying. And then something prompted me to go back to the mandir. So I reached there around went to mandir, suddenly I just got up and went to mandir. My friend Srinivasulu is telling, oh, Swami is coming back. That was about 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon. And then, we brought the Swami back to the mandir. And I was able to be part of the Swami thing to invite the Swami with the Purna Kumbham back to mandir. And then that's it. When I walk in, they shut all the gates. No one was allowed out or in because the crowd was there. And we were sitting inside. And then 6 o'clock darshan again. I could have gone into Region Mandir, but I said no. When physically Swami would not let us to go inside, so I was waiting in the darshan hall. And then Swami again, evening darshan, 6 o'clock darshan was there. How Swami was brought for darshan for 6 o'clock. And then by the time darshan came and then Swami, we were there. And then next day morning, stayed. So how Swami changes your plan, it is not you. It is the only thing is you think about Swami, he rearranges your plan such a way that fits his mission. If I had stuck to my original plan of my routine of going there, reaching there on Saturday morning and staying there on Saturday, Sunday, I would have missed everything because to catch the flight, I would have to leave Puttaparthi by 5 o'clock. So I would have missed the last darshan. I would have missed the next day morning, sitting there all night with the Swami. and watching, chanting Suprabhatam when Swami was lying there. And so all those sweet memories. So how Swami, I will never forget the 1990. I will never forget the 2010 and 2011. So those are the very, it's a plant, and how Swami made us made everything fit into his schedule. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you, for making time to share with us. I'll turn things over to Subbu Uncle now.
Sai Ram, what a beautiful sessions we had. Definitely, you know, I wanted to just say, Brother Ganesh, I know Swami gave you sweet, and I also asked you to take the giveaway sweets also, you know, so nicely. I think he knows that you are going to give up one day the sweet and desserts, and then that's why he gave you 1990. Hey, everybody, you know. So nice, so nice. Raju sir, I know when in Kodai when Swami came to you last, I know he wanted to spend a lot of time with the Bangaru. That's the reason he came the last, you know, no doubt, you know. I think now we all can see that how much that instrument is helping in the internationally, you know. Thank you so much. And Hari, I know you since 2002 in Ohio days. I know Sarojini aunties, we never miss her in any Sai program. You know, she's so loving mother you have. Thank you so much for, you know, please convey my love to auntie. She's so nice. And one thing I just wanted to call out is that I took a lot of notes. I know if I read another hour. All of us nicely put together his mission and vision towards the medical health care and compassionate and how to treat seeing one-to-one. I think, Brother Hari, you mentioned the real cure is the connection, the heart to heart. That's so beautiful. It's not only for the medical professionals, any volunteers. When we connect heart to heart, and that connection makes them the light, and the communication goes very easily, very nicely said together. And Ganesh, I think you talked about the love all, serve all, how to be, you know. I think expressing love, not like in a specific moment or specific time or specific period. I think it should be anywhere, anytime, and any place. You know, I know if you see something, jump on it. Don't wait for asking. I think that's the way we can show them Swami's message, the love all, serve all things. And I can tell, I was thankful to Swami that he has given me opportunity for 2 years two times to be in Guru Purnima medical camp. I saw these three energetic young hearts helping. Even the last minute, the medical camp basically will be done, but still they'll be patients will be coming. And I can tell you, Dr. Raju, he is very strict on things to be in perfect order. I think one thing I learned from him is how to be. Swami wanted to be perfect in every instrument of his, to be perfect. He's even particular about any pictures, Ari. Hey, make sure that the vibhuti is in every table. Make sure that the doctors has all the instinct they wanted. They don't want to get out, and he don't want to waste any time also. And I think that's the one thing I always say. And love this, Raju, you mentioned about Swami is always looking for your availability, not for the ability. I think he can make use of you in any form, in any way. I think, which is I have seen in the medical camp, all three of you, which you are dedicated. Of course, you know, hearing Swami's experience, it's basically, you know, ice cream on the cake. Sorry, Ganesh, I know it's sweet again, but it is basically his love. I can tell you, we are all fortunate to have him in our life. That's the main thing. And thank you so much, all of you, for your time and sharing your time with our Sai Region 3 devotees. They're very thankful. And Alekia and Kusal, thank you so much for taking this panel discussion so nicely. And you are all have a nice rest of your days. and I'll see you on sooner in Parthi. Hope that Swami helps us, and also a lot of other opportunities he creates us for us to do. I think nicely Dr. Bangaruraju said about this pandemic created for a reason. I think we will really do that. With that note, we are finishing the first segment of sharing satsangs with the great Swami devotees. Now we are passing on to next segment is bhajans. So sit back and relax. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you. Sai Ram.
ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। 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 Baba Gita Sudha Madhuram Madhuram Sai Baba Gita Sudha Madhuram Madhuram Sai Baba Gita Sudha Madhuram Madhuram Sai Baba Gita Sudha Madhuram Sai Baba Gita Sudha Madhuram Madhuram Anandam Sai Baba Gita Sudha Madhuram Madhuram Sai Baba Gita Sudha Madhuram Madhuram Shri Baba Gita Sudha Madhuram Madhuram Gita Sudha Madhuram Madhuram Shri
Gange, Har Har Gange, Har Har Gange,
Swami Sarva Pranapade Ashvata जय सद्गुरुदेवा। शांति शांति शांति। समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। अशीमवहु वहिष्ठेमस्ति उष्टास्ति उष्टाहमय शतशाय वहिष्ठायशि। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स। बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि। श्मा इस्राएल अदोनाय एलोहेनु अदोनाय एहा अदोनाय एहा अदोनाय एहा। Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La ilaha illallah Allah Allah. 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 साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। परमं पवित्रं पावाविभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीलाविभूतिम् आत्मैष्टार्थमो
Sai Ram. Thought for the week. Active workers in the Sai movement should have no feeling of arrogance or ostentation in carrying on their activities. They must be broad-minded, completely free from selfish concerns, and must develop love towards all. Active workers are the spinal cord of the Sai organization. They should understand what are human qualities and practice them in their life. Without having the right attitude, service done demonstratively in a spirit of self-conceit is a travesty of service. They should rid themselves of the sense of mine and thine. Preoccupation with one's own welfare and happiness is the bane of the dualistic mentality. It breeds discontent and sorrow. Feelings of attachment and aversion sully the mind, and only through service can such a mind be purified. External observances like bathing several times a day, or smearing vibhuti all over, or mouthing mantras mechanically will not serve to cleanse the mind of impurities. These are only outward show with nothing spiritual about them. Perceiving untruth as truth and treating truth as untruth, men are immersed in accumulating ephemeral objects, considering them as permanent. Men must get out of this narrow groove. They must outgrow their selfish tendencies and learn to regard the whole of mankind as one family. That is true service. Satyasai Speaks, Volume 20.